Hey, so welcome to today's episode where I'm speaking with Dr. Alison J Kay, and I am literally just getting to know her. So it'll be just a conversation about what you're doing and what kind of energy work you bring to this world. And maybe if you could also give us an understanding of how you got where you were. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being on here.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here too. So you want me to talk about how I got here? Well, I was just kind of naturally born this way, and I've just learned to cultivate it.
Right.
I lived in Asia for 10 years, studying subtle energy. Came back with my mission. I wrote my first of my 4 books, What If There's Nothing Wrong? In my 10th year over there, it started as my dissertation for my PhD, looking into the measurements of subtle energy and the contrast of the East versus the West. And really came to feel and sense and see that, man, if we only had more of an understanding of subtle energy and the science behind working with our consciousness in the West, we'd have so much less suffering. And then the second mission, is professionalizing energy medicine. But I moved to Asia in part because I was already running energy medicine and holistic health wellness sessions alongside classroom teaching. Because I wanted to see how to get even better results for my clients. And so I studied subtle energy, got certified. I was already teaching meditation, but went to India and got certified as a yoga teacher officially in India during my last year there. Learned to teach qigong, learned all about how energy flows. So it really upped my game.
And when you said you were born like this, so were you in a supportive environment where when you would say little psychic things out of your little toddler mouth, it was well received, or was it shut down and then it woke up later?
I don't know that my family really knew what to do with me. My mother did say, at age 12, we're out back talking on our swing, and she was saying, Alison, you have a really natural understanding of people. You should go into psychology to work with people. And I checked in with myself even at that young age, and it felt like a yes. And so that was my original major, but I changed because after 3 semesters, I realized they were just talking about hardwiring of the brain and then how to use it in industrial and capitalistic purposes and management, like in HR, how to use psych understanding. So they were busy proving themselves as a science at the time. So I switched majors, and we have been looking at the holistic model ever since. But when I say I was born like this, I mean, I was tromping through the woods growing up with my older brother almost daily. And I just felt connected to everything and played with everything, felt no separation. And then in my teens, that developed into writing in a journal where I realized I was allowing in a voice, a higher, my higher self. Yeah. And so I really have been cultivating this connection ever since, and understanding there's so much more beyond the physical. So that's why I switched the major too. So I think that I've learned to just work with it and blossom it out and as opposed to getting shut down. But they didn't really know what to do with me. Mom said to me later on when I asked her, she's like, yeah, well, we're going to put you in a gifted program. But for some reason she ultimately didn't. So
Well, what did you switch your major to?
Interesting question. I usually tell that story, and I'm choosing not to. And you're asking, how cool is that, Karen? Thank you. So it really has led into the full roundedness of who I am. You asking that question. The second major was then mass marketing. And so the most influential aspect of that was an Indian professor talking about the targeting of commercials towards certain populations, depending on the content of the show. And so I came to understand how much of what we perceive is created from advertising and marketing.
Right.
And then I switched to social thought, political economy, which was a really progressive major looking at society and politics, ultimately ending up with a major and a bachelor's in English literature. So I could study humanity, psychology, sociology, politics from an art form.
Yeah. I went to college for sociology, so it's just like, whatever. I just
did you?
I just needed a simple degree. I really wasn't sure what the hell I was doing, but I just figured that was easy enough and neutral. And it wasn't until later on that it even helped me, to have a degree. But my parents were like, that's what you're doing, you're going to college. So I had to pick a major. And that was it. So I didn't really have a lot of thought into it. It was like a year into college where I was like, I need to be a massage therapist. And that was like, they're like, well, just wait until you're done and then you can go do what you want. So I started with body work, and, once I was done with my college degree, I started with body work, and then, being in touch with the subtle body really woke stuff up in me. And I didn't even know the term subtle body, for years after, but I was feeling it and I was aware of it. And then the craniosacral work kind of opened me up to it.
Nice. Love
So,
craniosacral work.
So what led you to the subtle body work itself?
I always sense the subtle.
Right. Did you actually ever do hands-on work with people or no?
All right, let me go into the story. Yes, I have a long history of doing tens of thousands of hands-on one-on-one sessions, decades of it. Yes.
Like massage or Reiki or other kind of energy work?
No massage, although I have made it as a mandate, understanding that it's like preventative health 201 to get a weekly massage. I've been doing that since my early 20s, with my first massage happening at Esalen, the Esalen Institute, California.
Oh, California.
Yeah. And then later, like Chinese New Year breaks between semesters, when I lived in Taiwan, I'd go to Thailand. Typically, I'd go to Bali and other places too, but I always ended up in Thailand because it was so easy to travel to and relaxing to be in. And I had everything I wanted: dancing at night, the best food ever for a vegetarian, Buddhist monasteries, Thai massage daily because they're only $5.
Right. I've heard.
Yeah, on the beach too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So I used to, every Sunday when I lived in Taiwan during the school semesters, while I was a classroom teacher and administrator, doing the energy medicine and holistic health sessions on the side for local Taiwanese or expats, fellow expats, I would go get Tui Na, traditional Chinese massage, and reflexology every Sunday, and ask loads of questions. I sit there with the chart for the body in Chinese, and I talk in Chinese, like, what does this mean? What does this mean? How is this connected? When that hurts, what does that?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So just doing a ton of research. But yeah, I mean, so I got a master's, I moved over to San Francisco when I graduated my bachelor's, and it was, I was moving over there to go for my master's in furthering creative writing. Well, I was waiting after I submitted the stories instead of taking the GREs. I got serendipitously offered a job in politics. And so I hit my stride because it was a real strategic organization where they were working to elect people to office. Not only were we going to say yes and vote on environmentally conservative legislation, but we're going to write it. So I love that. And I hit my stride, and I had so much success in the campaigns that they put me in more and more intense situations. And so I was wanting to have alleviation of that stress, walked through a bookstore one day in San Francisco, and a book on meditation came off the shelf. So I started. Did
it really fall off the shelf?
Literally.
Yeah, I believe it. That's why I'm asking. I just wanted to clarify, because I know that happens.
Stop me in my, and I had also been going to San Francisco's Chinatown, which I think is the best in our country. And I was doing I Ching readings myself, having bought
That's using the coins that have the little holes in them, right? Is it the I Ching?
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yep. So, and I was also working within the Native American medicine wheel communities. So I was still working with the mystical. I was yet to do hands-on sessions, but I was meditating in my first elective in college. First semester was yoga. And the second one was personal training, the second semester. So, and on both of those, I'm certified personal trainer as well. So yeah, fast forward, political career, totally great. Got like the first Latina woman elected to the California State Assembly, who helped save the last LA green space in the LA basin.
Nice.
And yeah, and so then the election season was over, and I went overseas backpacking, and not just backpacking, but for 6 months. And it wasn't my first trip overseas. I had already gone to Venezuela as an exchange student in high school, so had a sense of adventure and travel. Came back to the States, got my master's in public administration, and focused on environmental policy, and got out with that, looking at where will I be able to help more inside the system or outside.
Right.
But you know that feeling when you're hitting walls and no doors opening? That was happening. So I sat back and reevaluated and asked my guidance what was up. And it said the fossil fuels were just too much a part of the marketplace. Humanity wasn't ready to shift yet. So if you want to change, you want to affect change, do it one by one. Okay. So I went back onto my bachelor's, relied on that, and went into the classroom to teach English lit. And so at the same time I graduated with my master's, I picked up my first energy medicine modality, which was Reiki. Used to be Reiki, only 6 removed from the founder. From
nice. Yeah.
Real traditional lineage. And so
I know
alongside,
I'm like down 12 or I don't even know what number I'm on, but 3 different teachers and they all have no crossovers until like the fourth one from the top, you know, so it's like, it's interesting how far spread it went.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I alongside the classroom teaching, I brought in teaching meditation with a male colleague of mine to middle school boys who were labeled with ADD and
Oh, that's awesome.
ADHD. And I was doing the energy medicine sessions on the side as a side revenue stream. And so one Saturday, I was looking at my checkbook, and because it was before digital banking, and I wasn't totally thrilled with a master's degree and only having basic needs like basic housing, basic car, massage per week, organic produce, yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy enough for me, and I
Right.
felt like the sense of a cage for the next decade, how many decades of my life, and that wasn't okay with me. I wanted that
Right.
sense of fun, adventure, and abundance that I knew inherently was what we're
Yeah.
here to experience. Meanwhile, that same timing, it could have even been the very same weekend. I had a session with one of my clients. She was in like number 3 or 4 of a package of 10 sessions, hands-on, over the womb, and we were both really thrilled with the results she was getting, really excited. She was one of my earliest clients. And I looked up as my hands were over her womb, and I remember asking, okay, so how can I get even more robust results for my clients?
Right.
Because I was still just starting, and I was really excited with the results I was seeing. And so ultimately, within a month, I got turned on to the international school system, did what I had to do, submitted the resume, traveled to the state I needed to travel to. All the international school heads came in, candidates came in from all over the world, and we had all these different interviews in all these different hotel rooms. And then by the end of the weekend, I had a bunch of job offers around the world. And I chose Asia because I knew it was the seat of not only the ancient wisdom about how energy, subtle energy, and consciousness works, but also that they were still practicing from it today. So I hope that fills in some of the blanks.
Yeah, well, I was curious how you ended up where you are. And so what is it that you practice mostly today, and like what are you offering as your main bread and butter, or your what lights you up the most of what you currently do?
Those are 2 different questions, hey?
Yeah, well, whatever one you want to answer is fine by me.
Well, so I came back and I came to understand after working with loads of people. I dropped the classroom teaching when I came back from Asia and in 2010, and took my energy medicine business full time, and yoga teaching and training. So the bottom line is that I've created Vibrational UPgrade System, and it's a combination of energy medicine. I ended up with 5 different modalities that I learned and got certified in how to move energy and what is inside the light. And then I brought in my background in meditation.
Right.
And so part of my background with the certification for personal trainer is I have specialty certification in fitness nutrition, but also another one in behavioral change. So I'm not, if you think back, oh yeah, she had psychology as a first major. I'm not looking for, like when people say energy work, I feel like that's unprofessional. I feel like that's so much a part of my mission, is to help people understand the value in the necessity in that. In ancient traditional Chinese TCM tenet, they say where qi goes, blood follows.
Right.
I say now where consciousness, or our focus with our consciousness goes, the energy or the qi goes, and then the blood follows. So physical matter follows energy. But we think it's still at a level in the States, at least, and in the West overall, where it's more like, I can't really believe that. What's more believable is what's physical, and I can point to. Right. So the valuing of what happens when we work with our consciousness in meditation, for example, and we're rewiring our brain to go onto a new neurological pathway, to come out of a habitual pathway, a habitual train of thought. That's a process. And so what I do is I use the light as half of what I'm, or 2/3. It varies depending on how advanced the person is, but I bring in the light use an energy medicine session for clearing out density or blockages at the subconscious and unconscious level. And then once they rise more to the conscious mind, I then engage in applied mindfulness coaching to help the person make new choices.
Right. That's awesome. It's really so cool to support people when they're on their spiritual journey and to help shift them in such a way. I just had a really powerful session like earlier this week with a client, and it was just amazing. So it's just like so humbling to facilitate in that, you know? So I don't know. I just love the work so much. And she ended up having like a big breakdown on the table, and she's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, do it. You need it. Like
Excellent. Yeah.
you know, like I could see that everything was murky, and, you know, she was finally, the pieces were finally coming together, you know? And like when
Yep.
she started breaking down was right when I was receiving the message, because I record the messages as I get them at one point during the session, during one session type. And I was at her third eye, and I was writing down that you're remembering the magic that you are. And that's when she started crying. She had no idea that that's what I was tuning in at that same time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
amazing.
It's an inherent grace and elegance that we as humans, unless we are walking our path with our higher self and source guiding us, we mess up because we're listening to our mind and our intellect. But
Right.
the inherent divine grace and elegance with the way nature works, if we don't muck it up, is so like running at facilitating energy medicine sessions. And I say this to my students when I train them in vibrational upgrade system, and I'm creating new vibrational upgrade practitioners, or they're up leveling to a higher level. That the light has a divine intelligence of its own. We don't need, it's not coming from us, what to do. The light knows to prioritize needs. If somebody's coming to you for back pain. So us just like being a clear vessel and allowing the divine grace through us, like doing that for tens of thousands of sessions at this point. It's probably hundreds of thousands of sessions at this point through the decades. You know, it's absolutely confirmed my understanding of the embodiment of being a bridge between heaven and earth, and of the inherent divine. Just there's an elegance that the divine operates from that is a beautiful dance to be able to be a human aspiring to, and possibly even embodying that same level of elegance.
Yeah. Yeah. The parts heaven and earth that we're both.
Yeah, but like if we, like what I see is the more we get out of our ego mind, the more purification that we do on our consciousness, bringing up the old conditioning, bringing up the old imprints from our lineage or old traumas. Like, so the way when you ask me what juices me up, I really dig. So I have 4 levels in Vibrational Upgrade System that I certify in, and people a lot of the time stay with me even longer than that. The first 2 levels are more how to work with the light, how to bring it down, and how to channel it on behalf of oneself first and then others. And then it becomes about going to stone circles and power spots and sacred sites, and how to work with the collective and how to work with the earth on behalf of helping the collective and the earth.
That's awesome.
It's wicked fun. Yeah.
It's so amazing. I know I've been feeling really called to go to Glastonbury. And I'm like, I gotta go there.
That's where I lead the retreats. Did you know that?
No way. No, I didn't.
That is where I do all of my training and attunements, is in Glastonbury. Yeah, I speak there a lot. My books are on High Street, and the bookstores on High Street.
I've never been there, so I don't even know anything about it. I just know I need to go.
It's known as the heart chakra of the planet.
Right. Yeah.
And it has a lot. So I teach about.
Well, I know that like the Jesus, or like the Joseph of Arimathea. How do you say it? But I know about Glastonbury, in that sense, but I don't know it personally.
It is it's for me, one of the cool things is that it is where like paganism meets Christianity in a way I've not seen anywhere else on the planet. And when I said that in the last round, I finally, coming out of COVID, went back into live in-person retreats. And I said that to a woman when I was in the Glastonbury Abbey with her, taking her through to sense some of the earth energy and ley lines that run through there. And she was, I told her that, and she goes, no, even more than Rome. And I think so, because it's not.
Because it's older. Probably, or maybe not. Maybe I don't know if it is or not, but whatever. It just feels older to me. Like it feels more.
It is
like Rome was more constructed, and this is more natural. Yeah.
And supposedly the story is I mean, I know this well because I've done some retreats there twice a year since 2016. I spend about a quarter of the year there every year, which I love. So Jesus's uncle, Joseph of Arimathea, would travel on the spice route,
Yeah,
and
because a tin merchant.
tin is over in Cornwall.
Mhm.
In what he was trading, I don't know. Nobody really
Right.
knows what he brought over from Jerusalem
Mhm.
or Bethlehem. But yeah, there's tin and copper in Cornwall, the county Cornwall, which is a
Right.
peninsula of England. Yeah, south outside of Somerset. That's the county that Glastonbury's in.
Okay.
So he came over there to trade. I mean, there's a place there named after him staking his stake in the earth once he got there, and
Mhm.
everybody was weary from the long boat journey. It's called Weary All Hill. But then that became the Holy Thorn Tree in Glastonbury. And then over in Glastonbury Abbey, he started a Mary Chapel, and it was the first Christian church.
Mhm.
Some say ever, some say over. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like teaching English literature, William Blake wrote a poem called Jerusalem. Uh,
Mhm.
and Glastonbury is considered the Jerusalem of the West.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just there's so much that converges there. It's so
Yeah.
sacred, and it really, the veil is thinner there. You can access some real profound shifts there. And all of my students, when they come back from a retreat with me and they getting trained in one of the levels, it
Mhm.
takes them about 2 months to integrate.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not just Glastonbury's, because they're getting so, like, they get
Upgraded. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so, like, I've had some of them have their computers break or their radiators break or what, like, it just,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah. Just their whole
vibration.
circuits are
So
just yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so incredible. Do you do Ireland at all too? I think I saw a picture of you in front of the what's it, the kissing thing where you kiss the Blarney Stone? Did I see a picture of you with the
No,
Blarney
I did
Stone?
not do that actually, because
Okay. I don't know who I saw. I
but
felt like
yes,
it
I
was
did
you.
do Ireland. I have
Okay. Okay.
products in my website shop that I recorded on in stone circles in Ireland.
Hmm.
You could also check out my YouTube channel. There's a couple of no, there are none from Ireland there. Um, I have a favorite stone circle that I've done work from, and I've recorded
In
active.
Ireland?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that must be amazing.
Yeah. I went to say, the goddess Bridget, she's known
Yeah. Oh my
as,
God, I totally connect with her.
I went to Kildare where her holy well is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Ireland's,
know her whole, like the fact that like she had like a flame, like a fire that was burning forever, and then like the freaking Catholic Church put the fire out. It was like in the year 300 something or other.
do you know what else happened too that was interesting? I saw it more in Ireland than I did in Scotland or down in England.
Hmm.
Is the Celts would have these huge mounds or hills,
Yeah.
ceremonial, and they'd have their sacred ceremonies. A lot of them, like the Hill of Tara. There was another hill that I found even more profound than the Hill of Tara close by. I forget the name of it, but kings used to get crowned there.
Hmm.
And so what they really were was the kings and the Celts understood a convergence of ley lines,
Right.
and they understood power spots. And so the
Hmm.
hills were frequently on these, they would have their ceremonies in these power spots. So the Catholic Church, when they came over to Ireland, they took these spots over using the same gridding system.
Yeah.
One of
And
the
built
things,
churches on them.
and built churches on them. And
Yeah.
then one of the things, one of the hill that is not the Hill of Tara. That's one of my favorites that I went to. It has a span of 12 energy lines coming out from it. And what the church did was it sent out its bells as if to capture and Christianize the land
Oh, wow.
through those lines. Yeah, it was really an interesting. And Glastonbury doesn't have that captured feeling, the
Right.
wildness of the Celtic
Yeah. Yeah.
war. So, and most of Ireland doesn't have that captured feeling. I don't mean to communicate that, but
With certain spots. Well, they said
yeah.
Christianize what you can't destroy. So
Well, I mean, the original teachings of Jesus, like I find the Christ conscious, I grew up Jewish, and I find the Christ, like I rejected my rabbi when he said, I was like 11, maybe 12 or 13 at most. And I heard him say something about a human cannot be the son of God, therefore Jesus is not real. And he said it rather vehemently in a service. And I was like, I knew it was wrong
yeah.
intuitively, whole body.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
within a month's time, I saw, like, in the going after Hebrew school, which I would go to twice a day, the car pickup line, somebody had a bumper sticker picking up one of the students in Hebrew school as I was waiting for my mom, that said Jews for Jesus. And I was like, oh my God, that's great. That exists.
Line me up with that. Yeah. That's
So
great.
I find like Jesus, the Christ consciousness itself is like So if Christ, Confucius, and Buddha all lived on the planet at the same time, which they did, those three masters were all together on our planet at the same time. It's kind of as profound as our times right now. Jesus was the heart. Buddha was the meditation, working with the mind. Confucius was ancient teachings, more like Confucius is kind of not, I don't know. I think this is going to sound funny. I find like he's Lao Tzu is actually a stronger Chinese master than Confucius.
I line up with Lao Tzu, definitely.
Yeah, right. So I find Jesus's heart in the ability to have compassion and forgiveness, and just that the Christ consciousness itself, it's so prevalent in Glastonbury. And I feel like it's so much about what's happening right now. Like I had a radio show from in 2011 it started. I was back a year and Voice America approached me and asked me to do a radio show on the Mayan galactic alignment of December.
Right. Yeah.
And I had been doing nothing public facing with the Mayan ruins. I was taking, and I still do, taking VIP clients to the Mayan ruins because I'm on the west coast of Florida. So it's just across the Gulf of Mexico and I'm right there.
Right.
So I ended up intuitively knowing to do the show. And so I interviewed a bunch of specialists about this and learned that we're in like the 20-year window of humanity's greatest evolutionary leap ever.
Yeah.
So the times that we're in, like we're in the second half now, 2022.
Right. Yeah, like they said, this decade is going to be like the biggest changes.
So there's those of us on the cutting edge of consciousness who are bringing in the new possibilities. That's me. Like I don't bill myself as a healer. It's on my Facebook business page, but I was fresh back from Asia and I wasn't really yet clear, and I had to get my business page set up. So I don't call myself a healer because I find that working with energy medicine and our consciousness at all its levels through more like meditation and yoga and energy medicine, it helps us reach our human potential.
Right.
And that's what we're doing now. And there's all these new possibilities coming in the greater field. Like I spend time listening every day, and I spend time working on the collective on behalf of humanity every day. And I feel like there's all of these new possibilities coming in that if we are clearing out the back of the house consciousness, which is what I call the subconscious and unconscious blocks, and we have more consciousness at our disposal and at the conscious mind level, then the 85% that scientists have claimed or stats have claimed, I find it more like 95% from all of the people I've worked with throughout the years. Our decisions we make every day are only 85%. So to the stats, I say 95% robotic. Only 5% of those choices to 15% of those choices are conscious. So what we listen to, what we don't listen to, what our routines are, what we eat, what we don't eat, where we drive, how we go to work, how we go to the store, what stores we go to, who we marry, who we don't see ever as a possibility to marry, what income stream we don't ever see as a possibility for us, what we don't see, like we are just repeating the past.
Right.
And the more that I do the energy medicine clearings and activations that I do, the more fresh the consciousness is out of the block state at the conscious mind. And then more is circulating through the chakras. And then the chakras are emanating out as the vortices they're meant to. Your overall field is stronger. You can connect more with the overall field of the Tao or unlimited possibilities. And you're then really bringing in the new era.
Right.
That's what I'm up to. Day in and day out. Yeah.
Right. And then, helping others wake up to it, and then they share it and they spread it. I know it's really amazing to witness and be a part of. So I know another aspect of it is like, I'm sure you've heard how basically us as human beings who are carrying this is like, we're like the acupuncture needles for the earth, by where our physical body is helping to kind of bring in the energy.
Ground it. Yeah, that's what I teach at my Dragon Master level. Those two higher levels I was talking about that are the most juicy for me. There's the Dragon Master level and the Grand Dragon Master level. So what I do is I up the voltage with my students, and then I take them to certain sacred spots to help distribute that higher voltage out to the earth for humanity. It's wicked fun. I write about that in this is actually my most recent book, the fourth book. It's called The Dragon Master Creatrix. All of my books are on Amazon. You need to use Alison J, my middle initial Kay, on Amazon, so that you don't get this other Alison K on Amazon with different books. But that one's, it's really cool because every chapter begins with it's based on reality. A woman on retreat with me in Glastonbury, and each chapter talks about either like going to a sacred site or receiving the attunements or being with the other folks on out and about in Glastonbury. And then the second half of each chapter are Q&As with, it's kind of like that yoga teacher format, like Osho or Paramahansa Yogananda did. Where you get yogic masters would get asked questions and then they would answer. So so in the questions that I'm a lot of it's about the divine feminine, but it's also a lot of it is about, okay, if I have all of this increasing consciousness at my disposal,
right,
and I see a new possibility, how do I make that choice?
right,
When I'm afraid of change, or I'm afraid of losing somebody, or
right.
I'm afraid of judgment from others. So there's all these practical questions, because I am so about grounding and creating into your daily life, living from this kind of charged up existence where you're a bridge between heaven and earth, not just for my one session a week, or not just for Sunday mornings. We are infusing our physical reality now more consciously with the metaphysical. And the mundane and the spiritual are meant to be marrying. So I've been having a lot of fun helping spiritual people open up to receiving more money, and helping really stressed out, well-financed people open up to more spirituality. It's just all coming into balance now. It has to.
That's amazing.
Fun.
Yeah, I know the divine feminine is calling so loud too, especially like this year. I'm working on creating a course just to teach basic stuff, but I still have a long way to go with my course, but I'm excited to share all that information with people, because it's like we're building momentum, and we are changing the world.
I feel like we've already reached a threshold, actually, Karen, now that you say that. It was around like, I want to say 2020.
I was gonna say like a year ago, like when lockdown began, like literally that day, I was like packing up my massage room, my Reiki space, whatever. I was taking my last client, but I knew that was next. And during it, I heard some song came on that was just powerful. And it gave me this vision of seeing all of the healers around the world, energy workers, light workers, like, the way you would draw a picture of like people holding hands around the world, like just almost like a cutout of people surrounding the whole planet. And I'm like, we're doing it. This is like, game on, man. Like, we're here. So I felt like that was kind of like the impetus and the turning point leading up to it anyway. So it was pretty powerful.
Yeah. So it's kind of like where I've been saying this since I think second half of 2019, and I've been saying it a lot longer, like where there's been persecution of spiritual people in the past, or where you felt like you needed to be in the spiritual closet. Not anymore.
No. Yeah. We're coming out. And like that lady who had the breakdown, like she only just woke up to this stuff like 5 weeks ago, like something like that, like crazy. And she's already like reading about galactic stuff. And I'm like, wow, you went right to the deep end. But it's like she woke up so fast and so hard, and it's so cool to see. And like I know that was a thing I was reading. Oh, more and more people are going to be waking up now, and you see it and it. But this woman like had a dramatic wake up. Like her life is completely different from 6 weeks ago. It's really cool to be here and do this and witness it and be a part of it. So
yeah, we are. I feel so much in my bones. I know I chose, and I know the universe chose to have somebody with my consciousness on this planet at this time.
Yeah.
We are lucky to be here. While it's intense, there are so auspicious our times we're in right now. There is so much becoming possible. And I know that one of the things that I have also been saying for a long time is, if you're addicted to the struggle paradigm, I'm not the right mentor for you.
Right. Yeah.
Because I find that so many people need crisis to cause them to look beyond the physical, right? Like they won't proactively choose spiritual growth or evolution or evolving beyond like who they were last year, beyond the resolutions that peter out by March at the latest. And so I'm all about, like, if you are proactively seeking to evolve and understand yourself and looking within as much as you're looking outside of you, then you won't need crisis to cause you to go get energy medicine.
Right.
You want to get something healed that's become a physical diagnosis, right? So I feel like, I'm living in the possibilities. Like my first book's title is, What If There's Nothing Wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
for a reason, for many different reasons. So yeah, learning to live like even beyond what if there's nothing wrong, like where do you go in your body and in your mind when you hear if it's too good to be true, then it is?
Hmm.
Like the automatic conditioning is for cynicism.
Right.
I feel like we're moving into times now where we've got to learn how to
It
actually
could just be good because it's good.
not, and that when it has a feeling of it's too good to be true, I don't mean with an offering like in the marketplace, but I mean like an intuitive hit when we're out in nature, for example,
Right.
about ourselves and our lives. It is actually meant to be that good
Yeah. Yeah. Just embrace it and be in it and appreciate it. And
instead of doubting it, right?
yeah, yeah, I know it's a powerful shift. I know a lot of people do have, spiritual crises that wake them, or physical crises that open up them spiritually. But yeah, it's totally not necessary or required.
Or financial,
Yeah.
job related,
Mm-hmm.
divorce. Like
Mm-hmm.
around 2010 to 2014, I was having so many people come to me with multiple crises.
Mm-hmm.
It was the way the universe was using to break through
Yeah.
the ego. The ego
Yeah.
is quite a shell, the ego mind. It's quite a shell. And if 85% at least of our daily life is made from habitual choices from our subconscious, like when we learn to drive, we say, put your foot on the gas, put your foot on the brake, put the car in reverse. We don't do that anymore once we learn. So
Right.
we're living from that space at least
Mm-hmm.
85% of the day.
Right.
So to become more awakened and without needing crisis so that you can live up to your highest potential. And as humanity and for the earth, we live up to our highest potential. That's what I'm up to day in and day out. And I love it. It's such an honor. It's so fun. And I'm so
Yeah.
grateful to have met you. You've been really
I
a fun
know.
person to
I
chat
know.
with.
It's been a fun conversation. I love it. So,
Yeah.
so I guess let people know how they could learn more about you or get in touch with you. What are your
Vibrational
channels?
upgrade. My channels, just a few. Vibrational Upgrade is the Facebook group
Okay.
that you can join for free. Vibrationalupgrade.com is the easiest way to remember my website. My name is Alison with one L, J, middle initial, Kay, last name, AlisonJK.com. Or then that's my name to look up on Amazon for my 4 books or the YouTube channel.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on here. It was nice talking to you. I love that the Glastonbury thing came up. That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. It was very cool.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Namaste. Bye.
Bye-bye.